We are just about ready to close out the first week of the Hearthstone Global Games 2019, and it has been brutal, Derek. We have already eliminated 7 teams, and we've got one more to go. Is it going to be the Netherlands or Chinese Taipei? What do you make of this series?
It's going to be another close one here. We're back in the sort of more tempo-aggressive style of play in this series, in this group, I should say, as opposed to the previous Americas group that we had that was very, very slow indeed. And I didn't get to catch most of the series between Chinese Taipei and the USA. But were they playing some good Hearthstone there? I know that throughout the series, the course of Grandmasters, I was very impressed by what Chinese Taipei had to offer.
Yeah, honestly, it was a fantastic series. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw any of it at all, but it was a reverse sweep. Dog and Just Saying were 2-0 up. They only had to win with their token Shaman, and they couldn't quite get it done. So Narina did a particularly good job of countering that Shaman. But let's see how this series goes, as we're going to get this started already. Highlander Hunter up against Netherlands on the Rogue.
Highlander Hunter is a deck that we still see relatively little of compared to the other real top-tier decks like the Druid, Priests, and Shaman of this world. But I think it still has a lot to offer, and it's honestly, in my opinion, not that bad in this matchup either. It has the kind of classic matchup of Hunter against Rogue, where just a little bit of aggression from the Hunter can usually transition to a nice early win.
Yeah, it sort of plays just a few too many minions for the Rogue to deal with generally. Like, you know, something can be sapped, sure. It is playing big minions, but it's playing a lot of them. This deck curves out particularly well, and its use of secrets as well really gets in the Rogue's way. Like, you know, how does a Rogue play around the secrets? They've got the dagger, great, that's something, but Pressure Plate in particular is very annoying, as is Rat Trap.
The curve here for Narina is pretty clearly dictating that he's going to go Sun Reaver Spy, even if you didn't know what his hand was. I think Tyson Korikaze will be able to make the read of this, and while they don't immediately have a strong answer to it, 4 health minions generally are very easy for rogues to deal with.
Well, there you go. There's the active Vendetta, and there goes the Sun Reaver Spy. So, Korikaze has managed to get himself onto the board. The 3-3 does get sniped by the Pressure Plate, though, so it's not much of a tempo advantage. And now, as it's Narina's turn, picking up a 3-drop on cue. That works out.
It's a pretty big deal, actually. Just the fact that he doesn't have to go for kill command on this turn and can just play out the 3-3 makes his life an awful lot easier.
We have, Derek, particularly enjoyed watching Narina's face cam during the games. He's been very emotive.
Good. I always like to see that.
So, second Vendetta picked up by Korikaze, and now it's a little bit tricky. Do you play the Waggle Pick just to equip the weapon, use that still with the 3-3? Maybe you want to get ahead on the board. You use the Hedge Clan Burglar and use the Vendetta to get rid of the 3-3. Or maybe you leave the 3-3 alive and just go face with the Waggle Pick. There's a lot of different ways to go with this turn.
I think I'd probably like getting the Waggle Pick down on this turn. Like, there are a few different ways you can approach it to try and get damage on the board with the Hench Clan Burglar as quick as possible. But I think, like, generally equipping Waggle Pick and starting to swing with it to get double activation on cards like Miscreant is a very powerful way to approach the matchup.
Yeah, slightly different route. Electing to play the Evil Miscreant, which also makes sense, you know, getting that thing down, getting those lackeys added to the hand as early as possible. Makes a lot of sense. This is a slightly awkward shaped board for Narina to deal with. Obviously, Hounds is useless. Mark's Shot could deal with the Miscreant, but that would require using up the entire turn. And the only minion he can play is Snip Snap, and that is definitely not great played on turn 4.
That's true, which is part of the reason why I wanted to see a little bit less development on this turn for Korikasi, instead just go for the waggle pick, because generally turn 4 for the Hunter is very weak in terms of development. It's more of a removal turn, with, of course, as we see here, the mark shot coming off the top, or just any of their 3-drop removals, like Kill Command or the Desert Spear as well.
It is going to be the Snip Snap. That feels like such a sad turn, doesn't it?
It's not great, especially when compared to what the Rogue can do in terms of their own development now. It is a little awkward here because I think Korikasi would ideally really like to play the Snake Trap on this board, just because, number one, it really confuses Narina, and number two, it's actually just a pretty good secret in this situation. Outside of the Unleash the Hounds that we can see in Narina's hand, I think from Korikasi's perspective, he's thinking this would be nice to get down to get a bit more damage through. But it does float a lot of unusable damage.
Oh, Radiance!
It's not bad.
No.
Honestly, like it's probably not the pick at this point, but against Hunter,
No.
any healing you can get is valuable.
Outer Range seems significantly better, as the Rogue will be taking some damage at some point, and likely there'll be a minion that is damaged too, so that is some guaranteed card draw later on.
Yep.
And Narina's hand just continues to be underwhelming here. Explosive Trap does do some work, granted, but Mark's shot is very slow. Again, we're just looking at it dealing with the Hench Clan Burglar, and Unleash the Hounds, without 1/6 taunt in the way, is as good as useless.
So how can he best combat that? This could be just an Unleash the Hounds, which doesn't feel fantastic. He can't take much damage off the board that way. I guess the best way is to just ignore the taunt for the moment and go for probably a marked shot on the Hench Clan Burglar. Or kill Commander and get in the Explosive Trap as well. That's probably even more powerful. Yeah, I like it.
Job's done.
Now is the point in the game where I think Korikasi is, starting to run out of minions. The actual development he can put on the board is getting a little bit low. So I think it's time to start transitioning towards a damage plan. Just get the Waggle Pick equipped, start swinging everything to the face. This Abyss can go face, Leroy when it's drawn can go face, Life Drinkers can obviously do a lot of extra burst damage.
It does feel like very little has happened up until this point, but now with the attack into the face, revealing what secret it is, it will be easier for the Netherlands to come up with some sort of game plan. Would you prefer to see the clear on the Snip Snap? Obviously, we know that it's Explosive Trap.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard to forget that it's Explosive Trap and think about what else it could be, because I think, obviously they're most afraid of Rat Trap at the moment, although they do have the ability to play around that pretty effectively. Alright, I'm on board. I love watching Narina play. And whether or not I liked the start of that turn, whether it's move face and trading, the end I absolutely am on board with, which is just swing face, get as much damage rolling as possible. And, their play that they went for at the start of the turn with attacking face with the Lackey first of all, that is very much in keeping with the rest of the game plan, which is all damage.
Ooh. Hunter's Pack. Okay, so everything else is pretty bad, right? 2 mana, draw 1 card. That doesn't seem good to me.
There is a secret in play, right, for the Rogue. In the Snake Trap that they just played.
Oh, of course there is. Sorry, yeah, of course.
So that seems, yeah, very good.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Alright, 1-card Battle Rage. Not the best, but you got to get something to start the damage here.
I mean, there's a lot of damage coming.
There is a lot
With
of
the
damage.
second Eviscerate picked up. Oh, the Netherlands just need a small something.
This
Narina
is
seems
the-
very surprised by that Eviscerate.
The absolute TTT Smork Supreme coming in hot here from the Netherlands.
But the thing is, because the Netherlands have done that, that sort of sets Narina up to be like, okay, clearly they have some way of dealing more damage. Let's make Siamat a taunt.
Yeah, I think there's... I mean, I agree. It's very, very face-up as to what their game plan is, but I don't think they have any alternative. If they don't start levying this damage to the face soon, they're just going to lose both in damage and value. Oi, 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 oi.
Ziliax,
Okay.
like the Siamat, does some serious work.
It's even better than the CM here. That is absolutely filthy. I think you... Is it better? So they're afraid of Leroy. That's their biggest concern right now, is Leroy with the Waggle pick. That's what this play says from Korikar.
That's just legal.
Right, so Siamat does protect against that very well. They're also afraid of Sap, of course, and so maybe they would rather get the Siamat down, because if they just go Ziliax and Magnetized on and the Sap comes in, they obviously only get a Snip-Snap back. So I think, having thought through it, I think I probably prefer the Siamat, because there's no way you can die on this turn if you play Siamat, obviously for taunt. Yeah, I like it.
They're going.
You can even
Makes
consider
sense. Play it
Wind
while the
over
snap push comes out. Oh, really? I
mean,
don't know,
it's
then
more-
a backstab alone is enough to take it down.
Fair enough, fair enough. I guess now that there's the Ziliax in hand as well, your defensive capabilities are so strong that you don't even need to start pushing damage face. But without that, I wouldn't have hated the Wind Fury to try and go for the win.
This feels like the turning point. Do you think maybe Netherlands were a little bit preemptive there with the Eviscerate to the face? It did very clearly signal to Narina, this is our plan, and it did give Narina the sign that he should taunt up Siamat. Something you wouldn't usually do. Like, you know, Divine Shield Wind Fury is what you typically go for in this position before that
That is
Eviscerate had
true.
been played.
Yeah, that is a good point, and maybe it was too much premature, but I think I think what their play did is it set up for a top deck Leroy for the chance to win the game, which honestly, in the poor situation they were in when they'd lost all their value, was probably the way to go. I think what could have been done even earlier to absolutely maximize their chances was to equip the Waggle pick a turn earlier, which would have allowed them to bounce either the Hench Clan Burglar, which is okay, or the Miscreant, which would be fantastic, just to give them that little bit of extra value, which they have undeniably been lacking so far this game.
Unity, precision.
Yeah, Marina obviously still believes that is a Leroy hand, and thinks that Ciliax is going to save him. And even though he's got the wrong read, it's obviously not a Leroy. It doesn't matter. He still just won the game. It's even better.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, Netherlands were setting up for the Leroy draw. Just because they didn't get it doesn't mean it was wrong to play around.
For sure.
It certainly... It would have given me the read that there was a Leroy there, and Narina setting up that Ziliax on the Snip Snap worked out perfectly. There is very, very little that the Netherlands can do to win this game now.
Is there anything they can do? I'm looking in their deck. There's still a Lackey in hand, so there's obviously the Togwaggle out. But I think it had to come on that exact turn for there to be really much of a chance.
Choose soon.
Yeah, and now the damage is going to start to come in the other way around, thick and fast. There's a Call of the Wild. Done into Mibran, available next turn. This game is over.
Absolutely. That is going to be game 2. where Korokasi will have to try and swing things back. The Hunter out of the way for the for Chinese Taipei is obviously very good. We can agree that's probably one of the weak points in their lineup. The other weak point, interestingly enough, may be their Warrior, which is the actual deck that was shielded. Even though it's got a decent matchup against the Rogue and the Shaman, I would say, up against the Druid, if it has to match up there, that's where things could get a little bit more shaky for the Warrior.
Agreed, agreed. This series certainly is far from over just yet. We've seen sweeps, but we've seen reverse sweeps too. Anything can happen here in the Hearthstone Global Games with our glorious best out of 5 format, which I'm personally enjoying quite. Best out of 5 conquest still holds quite a place in my heart.
Absolutely agree. Best of 3 has its place when you've got to get a move on, but my heart lies with best of 5, 100%.
All right, it's going to be the Quest Druid up against the Quest Shaman.
A matchup that we have seen quite consistently, I think it's fair to say, go in the way of the Quest Druid, because the Quest Shaman, unlike its counterpart in the aggro Shaman, generally I think struggles to put on quite enough pressure to dominate the Druid in the early game. And when you get through to the late game, honestly, it feels like a bit of a joke when you compare it to the Quest Druid, which is just so devastatingly powerful with all those choose one cards.
Job's done.
Wow, choose 2 cards at that point, I suppose. Yeah,
Sure.
It gets very difficult to keep up with that. Netherlands version of the Druid. Is this the... just need to remind myself. This is not Malygos Druid. This is just a good, I guess, bog standard Quest Druid. There's no King Phaeorus either here.
And no Cenarius as well. This is like a incredibly stripped down version of the deck, which is very anti-aggro. Of course, with the, like you said, Pounces, the Wild Pyromancer in there as well. Late game fatigue capabilities with the Baleful Banker, which I guess is their whole game plan against control decks.
Okay. That's really interesting. So anti-aggro with the ability to go late game. But the problem is against the other fatigue decks, those other fatigue decks tend to have ways of continuing to deal lots of damage to you, like with this only has, apart from the fact, yes, it can last forever, it only has limited pressure from that point onwards.
Job's done.
I think there's going to be a lot of deliberation here from Tice, and then I think eventually they are absolutely going to end up wrathing the evil totem. It always feels like overkill, but honestly, it rarely is. I guess the alternative could be to play Zephyrus and try and trade into it on the following turn, which
Okay.
I don't hate. Actually, it means you're giving 1 extra lackey in exchange to be able to kill it off cleanly and contest the 3/3 that is likely coming down on the following turn. Yeah, they're clearly unsure as well. I think it's very close.
Okay, it's going to be the hero power and just deal with the Novice Engineer. So more lackeys going to come out from Shaxi, holding back that Wrath. I mean, Wrath is incredibly powerful after the quest gets completed. So there is some logic there.
I think I don't like this. Maybe I'm underestimating how valuable the Zephyrus is going to be, especially in this particular build of the deck, because most other versions have, like you said, King Phaeorus or Cenarius in the late game. This one does not. Like, shuffling Zephyruses with Baleful Banker may be their best win condition in the deck.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I think what is more likely to happen is they're going to lose in the early game if they don't get rid of these lackeys. So I actually wanted to see either Zephyrus or the Wrath more than the hero power there.
Interesting. I mean, like you said, Zephyrus later on has so much potential. It's a really tough spot
Yeah.
The
Big time.
totem needs to die at some point, and sooner rather than later. But when? Because if Tice wraths it this turn, then he may as well have wrathed it last turn.
Yeah.
Job's done.
Well, he's got a whole different kettle of fish to deal with now, because not only is the evil totem still chugging away, getting value turn after turn, there's also a bunch of lackeys that are going to be building up their value as they are generated, and of course stick on the board. Because as soon as Shaxi gets one or two more lackeys, he could just let rip with the Plague of Murlocs.
Yeah. The Ferocious Howl was a nice pickup for the Netherlands, though. It did allow them a kind of much easier turn. However, oh boy, Shaxi's board. Desert Hare and Evolve, both available and playable this turn, and Tice cannot Starfall this board yet.
Well, he can next turn, right? With the quest completed.
Sorry, of course, yes, the quest will be... Yes, sorry, the quest was just completed. Oh my goodness. Sorry, Darren.
It's alright, one of those
It's
days.
been a day.
You've been casting a while. Forgiven. So two big options here, really, as to whether you want to go for Faceless Lackey plus, I assume, the Plague of Murlocs, or Hare plus Evolve. I think I like holding back on Hare Evolve, because that is, in its own right, an incredibly powerful turn. Whereas the Plague of Murlocs is only good when you have a bunch of lackeys in play. Wow.
Okay. Well, I guess any wide board that baits out the Starfall to then allow the Desert Hare into Evolve is it works, right? Like, yeah, Tice pretty much has to Starfall this.
Huh. I think I liked Plague of Murlocs there. Like, I fully understand that it's probably weak to Starfall, but you just made the point, right? Like, if it baits out the Starfall, you have the follow-up of Hero Power Lackey Evolve. Or Hero Power Hare Evolve, sorry.
What to do?
Oh, actually, sorry, that's not quite true. If he'd gone with Plague of Murlocs instead of the MCT, he wouldn't have had the mana to go Hero... Sorry, he wouldn't have had the quest completed to go Hero Power plus Hare plus Evolve. But either way, he still had Hare Evolve. Like, it was still a strong turn.
To do?
Is there any way that Tice can get away with not pulling the trigger this turn? No, he just has to. The double Anubis Defender, though, is a very nice defense.
What do you know?
Holding back the flute.
Wow.
Okay,
Alright,
with
well,
the second
speaking
Desert
of
Hare,
powerful
there's now a
plays-
lot of good options. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Desert Hare
Oh.
into Evolve, and then later on Desert Hare into Plague of Murlocs seems like a nice combination of plays coming up. This is a
Job's done.
powerful board. Well, it should be.
Yeah, that'll do.
Ah. Okay.
Piloted Reaper's a bit annoying, obviously, because it pulls the Witchy Lackey. But nothing terrible there. But pick up off the top a fantastic draw of the Oasis Surgeon, not only because it's a strong play now, but it also doubles up as a much better floop target. So now Tice's next couple of turns have gone from looking pretty lackluster to looking pretty fantastic.
Yeah, Tice can do some pretty great things to this board now, bringing this game back in his favor. And there's not too much that Shaxi can do to stop him. These are some great value trades.
Time waits for no one.
Okay, I'm liking all these trades. You obviously do have to consider what the battle cries are, not just the stats of the minion. But this all seems fine. Just killing off the most amount of attack. Correct.
Is it Plague Time then?
Doesn't sound amazing.
It...
Um,
Okay, so value trade the 2/4 in, trade the 3/2 in. The death rattle goes off, so you get another minion. Your opponent
Yep.
gets 2 Murlocs, and you get 6. I mean, it's not bad.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
It's not great either.
What to do? There's little time.
Oh, just make a decent board. That seems fine too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is. Oh, what the? Yeah, I was trying to think this because it's called. The card is called Rumble Tusk Shaker, and I think the token's called Rumble Tusk Breaker.
Okay.
But that could be absolute nonsense.
Coming from you? Surely not.
All right, back off. Trying my best over here. Another Oasis Surger, Fan Blooming-tastic, plus the Nourish. This is the dream. The absolute dream. Especially given that Tice's deck is, remember, very light. Incredibly threat light overall, with no scenarios for King Fedoras. So the amount of threats that he has been able to find is pretty lucky, to be perfectly honest.
It's true, and with that Nourish, the next few turns should be fine for Tice. Eventually, at least will go off, and Zephyrus might be enough to carry this game. I don't know though. Shaxi still has some very powerful tools available. Shadowwalk being one of the key ones that we're looking at over the next couple turns.
So my most interesting play that I can see here, or the play that my eyes are drawn to first, is definitely Hero Power Hair, Plague of Murlocs.
Okay.
It's not perfect because you can't play the Lava Burst for what is quite a good Lava Burst. But I just think everything else is too passive. Like, you're not going to be dominating the board if you go for anything else.
There's little time. Job done.
That's pretty good on both sides, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, it can be very easily swept up by that Starfall.
It can be, and then the 4/4 is just looking good for Tice, honestly.
Absolutely.
What?
But then
He could,
Shaxi will have Shadowwalk going the other way, and that Shadowwalk has picked up quite a few lackeys by now.
Yeah, it's got a lot of lackeys, not much else, though.
Hmm.
We could see Tice risk it for a Chocolate Biscuit with Nourish in to try and hit Innovate to go for Starfall all on the same turn. And if he fails, he could just go Nourish plus Floop, which is not that bad. It might even be better. Yeah.
Time waits for no one.
Oh, the swipe was picked
Oh,
up.
there we
That's
go.
pretty efficient.
Even better. Just point it at something. You gotta point it at something.
I think we have some good old Hearthstone spectator stuff going on. There we go. All sorted.
Okay, so
There's
I
little
think
time.
even though we had to skip ahead a second there, that was just swipe plus clear everything.
That's right. Swipe and trade.
Again, that is somewhat parting the curtains here. These matches were previously happened earlier this week. They were recorded, and we are going over the results. But we are live, coming at you. So let's hope we don't say anything wrong.
Yeah. We specifically are live just so that we can say lots of things wrong. That's how this works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With Life Drinker played and copied and played again next turn, that Shadowwalk's starting to look better. But Tice is able to come up with so much extra health and armor, especially with that Kun in hand ready to go.
So what's the best way to sequence this? What can go wrong now for Tice? The first thing that pops into my head is definitely MCT. Could go wrong. So therefore he needs to, I think, probably play around that for the moment, because I think he's far enough in the lead that he has the liberty to do so.
Okay.
So trading away here, sure, that sounds good to me. You could then even go for Hidden Oasis on one of his minions. Yeah.
Okay.
This seems good.
Sure.
I like
Not
this.
worried about health at the moment, and still with the Kun in hand. That Kun could even be duplicated with the Elise for 20 armor later.
Great point.
Oh, or even more with the Baleful Banker combo. So,
Whoa.
Tice is not worried about health. Ooh. Bit Shadow up time.
That's one hair. That's 2 more hairs in hand. That's 2 more on board.
When do you
That
play
was
the Evolve? Oh, it's got to be
An
now. The Evolve is
insane
now.
shuttle.
Mortals
Yeah.
are squishy.
That shuttlebug was nothing.
That ahead. Oh, it doesn't kill anything though. So for those of you that don't know, Batterhead has Rush, and when it kills a minion, it gets to attack again. Unfortunately for Shaxi, it's not killing anything this turn.
What happens if you cast Wind Fury on Batterhead? Like, if you attack and then attack again, does it just give you 1 extra attack, or is it kind of like Gonk, where you can stack loads of extra attacks that can go face? It's probably
That
just
is
one.
a very good question, Derek. I genuinely... I mean, it says when you kill a minion, you can attack again.
What?
So it probably just refreshes that one
Oh, I don't-
attack, so you can go face twice.
If I had to guess, that is what I would say, but I'm by no means
Yeah.
certain.
They'll have to introduce Batterhead into Battlegrounds, then we'd find out, I'm sure. That would be pretty nuts as well if you could just go boom, 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 boom.
I mean, I had this debate with Solstil a while back. I don't really know how good Wind Fury is, because everything attacks at random anyway. Like, what? How is it better for your minion to attack twice than your minion to attack
Time
than
waits for no
the
one.
opponent's minion to attack you? I don't really get it.
Me neither. I hadn't really thought about it, to be perfectly honest. But either way, Kun the Forgotten King comes down. Obviously, doesn't wait for the super late game Mega Giga Armor Infinite Mana gain combo. But I think he's realizing, you know what? This is probably good enough to win the game.
It is a good board for sure. No MC Tech available for Shaxi. So what does Shaxi have? A mutate.
I
Okay.
wonder.
Unfortunately, the Kun can't trade and then mutate, and even then, I don't think it would evolve into anything. It's a 10 drop, so Kabalaki is very strong though.
I do appreciate Tice giving us impromptu rendition of an Aha music video.
Ooh, Sandstorm Elemental, that's really nice.
There is little time.
Yeah, it's just cleanup duty really here for the Shaman. It's the situation you always seem to get into in the late game of just the Druid has too much pressure. You're spending all your mana just not dying, and then of course that inevitably means you can't win later on.
Yep.
But it is a
These
decent
Sephiroths
enough
are
turn.
now active.
Ooh, good point. I didn't see that. Good point. Power of the Wild, probably. Oh, maybe Druid of the Scythe, actually.
Grove. Oh wow, yeah, Druid of the Scythe. Okay.
rage.
Oh, it's a 4/4. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's just an immediate answer, which is probably more important.
The Baleful Banker strategy is looking like something that might actually happen this game.
Yeah, it depends on what he
Potentially?
thinks is more important.
And it allows for infinite Zephyruses, so... Hmm.
Time waits for no one.
Okay. There's 2 life drinkers in hand. They can't both be played this turn. So
Yeah.
that is 12 damage at some point. In the meantime, there's kind of nothing.
That's right. It does seem like because of Tice's lighter build of the Druid, Shaxi has got over the mid-game hump, which usually just knocks the Shaman out for the count. But there's nothing really left for Tice to do until he starts unloading with this Zephyrus.
There is little time.
He can populate the board with hairs, but that's about it. No evolves available anymore.
Of course it's the right
And
way.
that is just a quick Starfall for Tice. And that's if he even thinks this board is worth casting Starfall on, which he may
Yeah,
not.
good point. I guess with a couple of random spells in hand, you're probably thinking, Bloodlust, Evolve, or Stormbringer, more likely, is worth clearing things off. Problem is, though, for Tice here, that he really wants to start rolling with, like, Zephyrus and Elise, but because he's played the Floop, he can't, like, go infinite anymore, so... I guess with that already gone, you may as well just start playing them out because it's never going to get any better.
What to do?
Need a hand, Explorer?
Let's stash that away.
Okay.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, there it is. Even though he doesn't have the Floop, there's still obviously the possibility to go infinite with the Elise, banker the Elise, banker the banker, and then just do that to infinity.
Again, it's a very different kind of infinite. He's not actually banker the banker. I guess. Okay, so infinite
need
is an
to, yeah.
option, but this way it's not quite infinite, but it's a heck of a lot of value because you can still use the second banker on Elise or Zephyrus or something later on.
Well, no, it still is infinite, right? I was wrong, because he now has an Elise and a banker in hand. So next time he can just go Elise, shuffle the Elise back in, and then do it again.
He doesn't have an Elise in hand.
He has one in deck, though. He'll draw one back from his deck, and then he can just double the
Oh,
banker,
of course.
shuffle it back in.
Sorry, yeah. Gotcha.
So it is still infinite, but like you say, this way is a lot quicker. He has more mana to spend each turn, which is a very, very big difference. And of course, as we were saying, with the possibility of Bloodlust and Stormbringer, he doesn't play around it, which was very risky, but it works out.
As you were saying this morning, the different infinites are the infinite kill, where you just win in the one turn, and the outlast your opponent and just keep piling on the value, which is where he's going. And Shaxi, still 9 cards in deck, still got some stuff coming up, but it feels as though most of the powerful stuff has been used by now.
Yeah, I think Tice is probably starting to pull into the lead here because, still an Elise in the deck, 2 Zephyrs in hand, of which he could use either one at any point and be perfectly happy. And honestly, he doesn't have to. Like, Starfall plus the Loti here probably is way powerful enough to win the game, I'd say.
What to do? Time waits for no one.
All right, that's certainly a board. Wasp is some damage. Life Drinker is some damage. Is it enough though? Shaxi needs a lot to go right in order to win this game.
I
Again,
wonder.
Shadowwalk gone, Barista gone. And that's like the big power packages of the game. Evolve's gone.
What to do? The touch is the
And so it begins, the situation that you always seem to end up in as Quest Shaman, where you're like, right, okay, this isn't winning me the game. I don't want to fight for board anymore. I want to point everything at my opponent's face and hope that that gets there.
Tice playing quite meticulously here. About to finish drawing the deck, and again he can just start all over again with the value.
Yeah, he's just got to get rid of cards really right now, which means like,
Yep.
Starfall, Wrath, good to go. You know, he could even just throw down this Wild Pyro just to get a card out of hand.
Yep.
Yep, I like it.
Pyro and Wrath seems like a pretty good sequence for the rest of this turn. Yes, the Wrath draws the last card. Unfortunately, you will start to take some fatigue damage, but not for long. Okay, go on. Yeah, pounce, fine.
Sure.
That works too.
Yeah, I think I might have preferred the Wrath there because you're right, it does draw an extra card, but that's a card that you really don't want in your hand, whereas Pounce is a good card to duplicate over and over. But either way, doesn't really matter.
And the infinite Zephyrus is going to begin very soon. Shaxi is even struggling to deal with this board at the moment. Yeah, he's got the Hagatha scheme. Not sure exactly how much damage that's dealing at the moment, but I imagine it at least clears this board.
Yeah, I'm definitely anticipating just too much pressure, too much damage from hand, too much removal from these 2, 3, maybe even 4 Zephyrs that could come down.
I mean, Shaxi has to clear this board because Zephyrus into Bloodlust is just lethal.
I wonder.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator.
There is little time. I'm out of cards.
Ferocious Howl and Wrath, both quite irritating in that hand.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think at this point, like, going infinite isn't even really something that Tice has to worry about.
I wonder.
No, I agree.
Need a
Like,
hand,
these
Explorer?
Zephyrs should be plenty enough to win the game.
Yeah, play one, darn it. You've got 4 of the darn things.
Yeah.
Time waits for no one.
Get rid of the draw, correct. Sure. Okay. I even wonder if it was correct to shuffle the Elise there. Like, I think you might have enough Elises played. I'd probably rather have a Loti in my deck at this point, but maybe he can keep the train going. Who knows?
It's worth-
I guess he
worth
can
thinking
actually.
about
'Cause
that.
he can just keep the Baleful Banker on the left side of his hand and then just keep copying it, copying it, copying it.
mean, if the banker survives this turn, Tice probably just bankers the banker
Very true.
and just uses that for as long as possible to keep a card in the deck.
Yeah.
That's a big if, though. Like, it's unlikely that the banker does survive this turn. Shaxi will be removing as much as he possibly can.
Double time and double play.
Buttons are so squishy.
There it goes. But is this big Mogu going to become something much bigger? Oh, yeah, okay.
It's not bad.
All right.
It's not bad at all. Take a 10 drop from that as well.
Release. But Tice has double Starfall in the hand and a ramp.
Yeah, I
ready
mean, he's
to
got
go.
Blooming Zephyrus, right? Like,
I'm
it just
out
never
of
gets there, really.
cards.
Mhm.
This could just be Twisting Nether, go.
Zephyrus Nether, Zephyrus Brawl, Zephyrus whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
Or whatever Zephyrus wants, actually. Zephyrus decides.
I wonder.
I guess maybe you take this opportunity to go double Starfall just to get them out of your hand. Okay. Yeah, I
that's
like
true.
this.
They aren't necessary anymore with all the Zephyrus that are going to come out with, frankly, better removal. Yeah, you can go ahead and lose the Starfalls.
That's
Is
right.
Tice playing the game? How many Zephyrus can I get in my hand before this game ends? Like, this game seems pretty over, even without playing any of the Zephyrus.
Time waits for
Just
no
like-
one.
It
See how many he can board.
does. Yeah. It's really just on Tice. Like, it's Tice's game to lose, it feels like, at this point.
Yeah. Shadow of Death. Shield Slam. Fine. Okay. Oh,
Okay, just getting rid of cards at this point. Yep, sure.
found the Tyrion. It's fine. Bog.
Clear things off, Hero
Slosher.
Power, plus Desert Hair, I suppose.
Okay. Sure, why not? That's a board, with a board next turn. Okay. I'm amazed that this game is still going, honestly. But I guess Tice is starting to take the fatigue damage. He needs to win sooner rather than later.
He does. He does. He can start to win very quickly, though, honestly.
Need a hand, Explorer?
Yeah, correct. Let's stop this fatigue. And then I suppose Zephyrus plus Whirlwind. I don't even know if it would offer Whirlwind in this instance, actually. It probably would, actually, on 1 mana, probably.
Yeah, Whirlwind sounds like it's the answer to this board.
Yeah, okay, trade that first.
We're about to find
incentivize
out.
With you. Yeah, I mean, this is a weird Zephyrus scenario. I don't know how it works in these instances.
And yeah, there's the
Time
Whirlwind.
waits for no one.
Tyrion was on offer again as well, but there you go. Board is clear. Back to Shaxi. Can you clear the board? You've still got the Hagatha Scheme. Scheme will obviously clear it if he's afraid of Bloodlust, which he knows there will be a Bloodlust because he knows there's multiple Zephyrus in the hand.
Yeah, he
so
literally has
not much
to
choice
scheme
here.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's just dead. Because it would be Zephyrus, Bloodlust, Zephyrus, Soulfire for the lethal, I think. If Bloodlust wasn't enough for lethal already, which I think it probably is, actually. Yeah.
What to do?
It's such a weird endgame state for the Druid to be in. But I think, you know, for the most part, even though I'm sure the Druid experts in chat will be screaming there are many different ways that Tice could have approached this, I think his overall philosophy was pretty much spot on. He kept all the pieces he needed in hand in order to delay the fatigue for as long as possible. And it worked out for him.
potentially one final clear, depending on what Shaxi's next card is. But Edwin? Nah, just heal up. Why not?
So yeah, if that's the only
Got
way
all
you
of the
die, go
value.
for it.
Yeah, got all the value in the world, so why not? Sandstorm Elemental, probably just about worth playing here. And I guess Witchwood Piper, do you want the
Just
immediate
die.
value, or do you want to just wait to draw them?
I'm almost out of
Yeah, you do die quicker, but with Sludge Slurper, maybe there's some lackey stuff that can do something? No, there isn't.
6-drop damage Stegatron. That's kind of where we're at, and I think even then you just lose. Okay, Cairn, definitely one of the better ones.
When do I get to start discovering dragons with my lackeys? You know, that maybe that would help in this position.
Oh, good point. I didn't really think about that actually, because I like the new lackey that's coming in. I kind of saw it as like a bit of a nerf to lackeys for the most part, because it seems like a very weak one when you compare it to like 2 damage or evolving. But late game, that could be bananas.
Well, that Starfall is still sitting in Tice's hand, and it looks like now is finally the time to get rid of it. Tice feels like discovering a perfect card. Makes a change.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Alright, Deadly Shot clears the board again, just in case. And then of course we're
Methodically
looking at...
dealing with everything.
It's true, he's finding a way to do it every time. And like Tice here, he still has the infinite combo intact. We can just use Elise, shuffle it back in, go again. And given that this is the absolute final hurdle for Shaxi, Tice can probably just go Zephyrus clear and win the game from there. But if he goes Elise, Banker the Elise, Zephyrus, he has 1 mana which could offer him some clear options. Not great ones though. But it does deny fatigue.
Crazy that Shaxi. Yeah, it's crazy that Shaxi managed to create this position. Can Tice ever just play Tyrion?
It's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Your wish is my suggestion.
It's gonna be the last Zephyrus for now.
Boom.
Alright, Flame Strike, and now Shaxi can't deal with it. So yeah, it can be bankered or whatever. Shaxi is well and truly out of stuff. That is gonna be GG. What a long game. Surprisingly long. But Tice does take it away, and it ties up the series. It's now 1-1 between Netherlands and Chinese Taipei. What a game, Derek.
That was some pretty impressive stuff. It's not easy to pilot those Druid games right at the end. I've tried it and failed it multiple times, especially when you factor in the Baleful Banker, which really makes things confusing. But I think that was well played by Tice there at the end. It was difficult to know exactly how to sequence out turn after turn, where to prioritize removal versus anti-fatigue. But I think he struck a very good balance.
Absolutely. Well, you know the drill by now, everyone. We are well and truly into our final match of the weekend. It's Netherlands, Chinese Taipei. The score is 1-1. We're going to go to one final break of the day. When we come back, we'll be closing this one out and finding out which of these two teams makes it through and which one is being eliminated. We'll see you soon. It's the final match of the week here at the Hearthstone Global Games. Netherlands versus Chinese Taipei to round out this group. One of these teams will be making it through to the next round. That will be taking place in 2 weeks. The other team will be the 8th team that we eliminate already here in the very first week. And Derek, the score is 1-1. How do you envision the rest of the series going? Who's your favorite?
Well, taking a look at the rest of the decks they have knocking about, Chinese Taipei has their warrior in the mix-up, which when the Druid has now taken a win for the Netherlands, is starting to look very, very tasty indeed. One win against the Rogue or the Shaman would, of course, see it through and bring them up 2 games to 1. And I think, in all honesty, that's probably going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's find out. It's now going to be warrior time. As if that last game wasn't long enough. No, I'm just kidding. It's up against the Shaman, the token Shaman. This won't be a long one.
It shouldn't be for the most part, especially given that we saw Korakasi and Tice mercifully conceding nice and early in their game with Shaman against Warrior earlier on today. They know when the jig is up.
Not much going on in this opening hand, though, Derek. This is one of the worst Shaman opening hands that I've seen. There is an evolve, great, but not much else. Narina is not going to be playing into the Mogu, so sort of that.
Yeah, it's not the best hand I've ever seen, to be perfectly honest. You want to find the Frog to really make this pop, or the Hare, because while this hand would be very, very good against a lot of the other tempo matchups like Rogue, Priest, maybe even the Mirror, up against Warrior, they don't really play that many minions, so it's really difficult to get this Mogu down to a playable size.
I must choose.
Job done.
Thunderhead is a little better. That is something that can at least be played onto the board nice and early. But again, Narina can just sort of sit and wait this one out.
Yeah, it's far from the ideal card. You're looking much more heavily at trying to find the Frog to draw through your deck than you are for the Thunderhead to try and generate that tempo.
All right, well, Hair Coin Evolve, it's happening. Here we go.
Yeah,
Is this
he
going
got the
to be
card.
enough to carry the Shaman through the mid game? It's not
Pretty good.
bad.
That's pretty good. Vasina's very, very nice.
Unfortunately, Restless Mummy will deal with Vasina or the Anomaly and the Darkhind Dwarf. Oh no, it's still going to deal with the Vasina. Just trading in the Acolyte was fine to get the extra card, I guess. Oh.
Well, I mean, you can take out the other, and then you don't really have to deal with Vasina. It's a nice bit.
That's true. Even with Voltaic Burst, there's nothing to trade into that Vasina actually helps out with. So yeah, okay.
That's right. So from here, I guess we're going to see Thunderhead probably thrown onto the board. Like, Korakasi could go for a slower game plan where he tries to search for the overload spells later on, but I don't know. In all honesty, I feel like if he's going to have any chance in this game, it has to come pretty quickly, just because his hand doesn't look, to be perfectly honest, like one that scales fantastically later into the game.
I wonder.
Ugh, just a load of nothing still for the Netherlands. Really is. And Dynamatic becomes a looming concern as well.
There is little time.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything's bad. Like, if you play the Thunderhead and they trade in and then go for Plague of Wrath, It's just so bad for you. So I guess you're supposed to hold back for the moment at least.
Not much going on for Narina either, but there just doesn't have to be at the moment. He's under no pressure to do anything. Go ahead, pay Town Crier, add a Rush minion to the deck for when you do need to remove something or heal, and just chill. Yeah, okay, fine. Throw down a Yeti.
I'm on board. Saving these removal pieces is definitely a little bit more important for later on, so just developing while you can makes perfect sense.
I wonder.
Is there a way that Korikasi can come up with a good enough board for a reasonable Bloodlust here with the double soul of the Murloc? I don't feel. It feels like
No.
Narina could just deal with enough of this for it to not matter. I mean, Warpath alone clears the whole board, and it's not even necessary here.
Yeah, I think what Korikasi is really trying to do here is just set up for a Stormbringer more than anything else, and then just pray for the small percent chance that there's not a single piece of removal, and that's his win condition basically.
Job done.
All right, Narina makes a board. Again, not having to deal with anything immediately, but now getting even better prepared to deal with whatever Korikasi can throw at him. And with the Mutate picked up, Mogu into Mutate has become an option.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
This matchup just feels so bad for the Shaman, because you just know that almost anything you do, the Warrior has some sort of answer for it. Like, I feel bad watching this. Just looking at the
Agreed.
Shaman, trying to work out, is there anything you can do to have an impact on this game? It really doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I mean, I played this matchup a bunch of times on ladder last month, and the games that I won, it was where you high roll a brawl, or you get one giant Tyrion at the start of the game that they can't answer. Like, it's the fringe case scenarios that you end up winning realistically. Or it's your opponent messing up. Like, that can obviously happen. It's less likely to happen here than on ladder, but it can happen.
Ahmet's interesting. So is the Mutate, actually, with the potential triple
So
cast
is the... Yeah, I think I like that here, actually, with this end team.
Oh, the board got worse. That board got worse, right?
I mean, I'd say it got a little bit better. You got a bit more attack, which is the important thing.
Okay, alright.
It did get much better, though, I agree.
It also meant using up the Mutate with that Mogu still in hand. Obviously, Korikasi could draw an Evolve to play with that Mogu, but...
Right.
No tomb can hold me.
Again,
and the
just
board
clean up
clear
on range.
comes in.
Yeah, time and time again. Nothing to be done.
Shutting down everything that the Netherlands can have. I mean, when you're looking at Lightning Storm for the Netherlands and looking at how they get to clear the Warriors board, you know that they're in a bad position.
You do indeed. You do indeed. So I guess, what is it? Hero Power plus Mogu plus Lightning Storm or Thunderhead Lightning Storm? I guess Thunderhead Lightning Storm's pretty good actually, right? Just to allow you to get down the cheap Mogu as well.
Thunderhead Lightning Storm. Yeah, it's not bad. It's something. It's a proactive play of some description, and it's the best that Korika's got. It's the best he's going to get. Sure.
Okay, he didn't want to play the Mogu as well. Whatever. Maybe he couldn't have actually done that. I think he might have been 1 mana off. Actually, no. I think but yeah, doesn't matter. Just wants to save it for a mutate or an evolve, which is fair enough.
And as usual, plenty of ways for an arena to deal with this. Shield Slam the Thunderhead and just cast Plague of Wrath would do it immediately. Ziliax is an option just to sit in the way. Ziliax Armor Up Shield Slam also deals with the Thunderhead. That's the one he's going to go for.
Job's done.
And it just
it's
beautifully
kind of back to
leads
the
into
drawing
Dr.
board.
Boom. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
So what are we looking at for Korikasi? What are his outs? Any way he can swing this back in his favor. Like, we're looking at generate a
Mogu
spell
into
lucky.
mutate.
Yeah, Mogu mutate into Rag.
Into
And
Rag,
if
Tyrion,
That has no answer.
something big, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, we can see there are plenty of answers, but that's his best chance, I think, really.
Tyrion would do something, because even if cleared, the weapon sticks around, I guess.
Yeah.
Octosari
Or,
would be worse.
Octosari? Yeah, okay, I'll take Octosari. Maybe splitting Festeroot would be okay as well to stick a sticky board for Bloodlust.
Okay. However, it's going to be Katarina, and Katarina is great and all, but does just die to the Plague of Wrath Warpath, which is inevitably coming down next turn. And given that Korikasi has thrown practically all of his resources into play, Narina has no reason to not use these board clears, and then safely play Dr. Boom the turn after and win the game.
I agree completely. He just knows that. I mean, he could probably, if he guessed the card that is in Korikasi's hand, I think he would guess Bloodlust.
Job's done.
One of the better minions, I suppose, for Korikasi, because he does need a giant minion stick. But even then, I just don't think there's anything that can save this.
It's just not playable though, is it? Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
If he could play it this turn, then maybe, but it's literally totem pass this turn.
Well, every journey starts with a single footstep, and that one may have to just be a taunt totem for this turn.
Or that.
Or that
A
one.
measly
That'll-
1/1.
I'm shooting them.
And there's the Dr. Boom, as we were talking about. Sea Giant can now come down. And yeah, currently there's actually no answer for it. But it also doesn't
Yes.
do much.
I guess.
Okay, so Acolyte, Whirlwind, Hero Power. See what gets picked up by the Whirlwind. Or just stick a Kartu in the way.
Yeah,
So,
probably
yeah, there you
Kartu. I
go.
like more like
Next
Acolyte,
turn.
Whirlwind, Kartu. Yeah. I think pretty much any of these will win. The Bloodlust won't draw Stormbringer, right? Yeah, it's already been played.
By the power of Ragnaros, I have the power!
Don't even need to stick a cartoon in the way. Just stick up, put up Thora-san. There you go. You
All
have
right,
to deal
okay.
with this, Korikasi.
There
There's a
we go.
plan.
That's a
There's a
big
plan.
thing.
Hooray.
That is the plan. He is a man with a plan.
Does the plan involve trading or going face? I guess it has to just be a face hit. If he starts trading now, when does he ever get enough damage to just win the game? And if he trades now, the hero power just wipes out the Sea Giant next turn anyway.
I wonder. There is little time.
Alright, whatever. Hold it back on the frog. Doesn't make too much difference, I would wager.
Let the pain speak to me.
Alright, sure. Now it's Acolyte Whirlwind. I mean, now Narina actually needs to come out with an answer. Oh, actually, does he? He can still just trade and hero power away one of these Sea Giants, then put a cartoon
Yeah.
away. He seems
Exactly.
fine.
Like with 10 cards left in deck, there's only so many bad draws that he actually has left. Like we're looking at N'Zoth, I think 2 brawls at this point, 1 more plague. That's half the deck is game-winning cards.
All right, Lightning Storm. Okay, Korikasi coming up with the plays here, getting himself sort of back in the game. Like, there's no clear-cut way for Narina to deal with this.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't laugh at me, Derek Brown. Okay,
I'm
now
not
there is.
laughing at you.
You can laugh at him.
I mean, yeah. I think there was just never really much of a way to get back into this.
Nope, nope.
Yeah, Shield Slam, that makes more sense in case they hit Spell Lackey into Stormbringer and you need something better. Oh, he can actually bounce one of them back to hand to get a double clear.
I mean, yes, that is certainly an option.
Is he going to do it?
It's
Please do it
actually
just
worth
because
it.
it's fun.
It is pretty funny. All right.
Hey, something happened.
This has been one of the classic, slower, grindy games of Hearthstone, where unfortunately we've seen the result coming for quite a while now. I know that that evolve on that frog isn't going to do much. The well played comes down, and Netherlands concede. That means Chinese Taipei take their second win of the series. They are 1 win away from the sweep and making it through to the next round. And all they have left is their Quest Shaman.
Right. Quest Shaman as the only remaining deck up against Rogue and up against the Aggro Shaman. I think you can make the argument that those are 2 slightly unfavorable matchups, but not particularly on either way, I would say. I think they both have very, very good and reliable paths to victory. Up against the Rogue, it's generally going for surviving early on, I find, and then overwhelming them a bit more later on. But if you can hit the dream with Mogu and Hez, then you obviously take it. Whereas with the versus the Aggro Shaman, it's really just a case of trying to find a way to overcome their dominant early game with the Sea Giants, and then you should be fine.
Okay, well, it's going to be the Rogue up first, support Netherlands. And there's an Edwin and a Shadow Step available in their opening hand. If they were on the coin, this would seem significantly better, but still worth holding on to regardless. Second Shadow Step. All right, Derek, we have a game.
That is a mimetic hand at its best, I would say. Yeah, I can see that. None of this says Mogu, hair, evolve, nonsense like that.
Alright, a cable route. That's a lackey generator. Korikasi needs to pick up one of these cheap minions, Pharaoh Cat or something, to really set this Edwin off.
Yeah, it's all a bit lackluster at the moment, isn't it? Like you said, if he can find himself a rat or a Pharaoh Cat.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Yep,
writing
yep,
a
rat would be
double
great
assist,
too.
So many options.
Even underbelly fence, like, it's not quite as good, but
Fine,
it would
I'd
make
take
a
that.
huge Edwin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, if you make a 10-10 Edwin versus Shaman, you win. 9 times out of 10. They just don't have an answer. I like holding back there instead of going coin lackey. Like, I would have given them a powerful 3-drop instead. But because the dagger kills it off, I like saving it to activate the wasp on a subsequent turn.
So fence is playable now, and it usually sticks if played
Yeah.
now.
Many options.
It would have to lose to specifically like Kobold Lackey and Sandstorm Elemental. That's the only reason that it would die. And if Shaxi had those cards, he wouldn't necessarily even play them to kill the Underbelly Fence.
Okay.
I wonder.
I mean, I think I'd play it here.
So I like,
honestly,
yeah, I like slamming it down. Use the dagger to deal with the minion. Great.
Do you ever consider just
Whether or
playing
not
the
you
Edwin?
end up stepping it. But
Choose soon.
oh, is that better?
Not really.
It is slightly better.
Oh, oh.
Well, no, it loses. Right, okay. So it loses hard to Kobold Lackey.
Right.
Oh, okay. A slightly different line. Edwin, step it. It costs 1. Next turn, they can make a big Edwin. Not quite as big as they could have done with 2 Shadow Steps, but very consistent Edwin this turn coming.
Yeah, I guess like the one read that Korikaze has at the moment is the. Oh no, wait, no, sorry, they don't ignore me. Yeah, I guess it's very difficult to make the read about whether or not they can kill the Edwin here. This is a conservative line. It's got lower payoff, but lower risk as well, obviously.
Okay.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
All right, eviscerate the 2/3. Sure. Step and replay the Edwin. I mean, it's big enough.
Yeah.
Big enough to survive everything that Shaxi can throw at it right now.
Yeah, it's
This
pretty good.
feels
I
like a
don't hate
classic
this.
game of Hearthstone.
Yeah, this is old school, man.
You belong to
Early Edwin actually being relevant. Look at that.
I like this line to go for the Witchy Lackey as well. I was considering at first glance just going for the Wasp while you have the Lackey in play, but this seems to make a good amount of sense to me to just develop as much stats as you can first.
Sure. Amet is interesting with Waggle pick drawn as well. I feel like Netherlands are obligated to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's so annoying because like any low health 4-drop, you just happily waggle pick away and swing face with the Edwin. But I agree, I think you have to kill it off here. Yeah, I mean, this looks fairly straightforward. Witchwood Piper into Sludge Slurper. That gives you a Lackey to go with the Wasp next turn to take out the Edwin.
Quest is complete now as well. Hero power ready to go. So from next turn, that Edwin is not going to be it's not going to be around anymore, and Shaxi might actually be able to overcome the power spike from Netherlands quite early into the game.
Yeah, he could go to bounce the Edwin here first and go for like, Blink Fox into Blink Fox into Underbelly Fence as a 3/4, and then Edwin is at 6/6. But that still dies to the weaponized wasp.
Too soon.
Netherlands trying to work out what to do with this Edwin before it gets dealt with. And it's going to be the trade and the bounce.
They were considering face, and in the end they decided, you know what, with no Leroy, no Abysses, it just doesn't get there.
How much is this worth to you?
Seance? A Seance the Edwin?
It's not bad at all. Yeah, I'd like
It's not-
an Aeon 7.
Well, it's not. It's not. It's not going to be that big, though, is it?
They're going to have to pick up something else first, but it should be big enough, I think. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe.
What
Probably
to
not.
do?
Yeah, there we go. Clear that. There was the consideration to just launch everything face there, like, or over, like, next turn, hero power Wasp Lackey for 10 damage face, but I agree this is probably a little better.
Evil Rat is certainly value for the Edwin. Or fodder for the Edwin, rather. That thing could get quite a bit bigger now this turn. Or do they have to wait one more turn? Just for that little bit of extra mana. Ooh. What battle cries do we want to
Something.
discover?
What are the good
Too soon.
Battlecry rogue minions? Like the thief cards, like Blink Fox and stuff. Gurabashi Hypemon is okay.
Yep, that's true.
Brotherhood shall prevail.
All right, we're back in 8-8ville, and it can't be dealt with by the Wasp now because there's no lackey available.
Can be
There
dealt
is
with
an
by the
MC
MCT.
Engaging
All right.
130 until
Close your eyes and hope.
discomfort.
It's a 1-1.
Yeah, okay. Wait, that activates the wasp. That's sick.
It does, but Shaxi doesn't have the mana to play the hero power now. Though Mogu plus the Wasp plus the trade would be enough to deal with the 8-8. I don't know if it's worth it.
I wonder.
You can take 8 to the face this turn and just wait.
I think it might be worth it. Like, as long as Shaxi doesn't die to damage from hand, I think he just wins.
I hope you like my invention.
Because he has like hero power novice and the Shadow Walk in hand. Clearly he disagrees, which is fine. I mean,
just-
it's not.
Well, just dealing with everything else is also a line, isn't it? Like that 1/8/8 Edwin on its own is not going to win Netherlands the game.
Fair play,
And
fair play.
honestly, Netherlands may have to start trading this in themselves. Myra and Nazoth are two options here. Okay, gonna just skim this deck for death rattles. Don't think there are many.
I don't think there are any.
No, there's none.
Yeah. So it's probably just Myra then.
Yeah, Spower Jeweler is not good against this deck either.
Myra could be nutty. Like if it can hit Octasari, and then get the death rattle of draw 8 cards, that could be absurd. Trying to think what else is good. Deranged Doctor, not amazing here. It's alright though.
So
I mean,
many
especially as at the
options.
moment, Korikasi might just die on the coming turn if he doesn't take defensive moves.
Too soon.
It's decision time. Korokasi sapping the MCT to play the second Edwin and start smacking that face. Okay. It's another 8-8 Edwin. It's reasonable.
Ooh, okay, Evolve being found. That's not bad at all.
I can't quite deal with both. With both Edwins. Like Wasp deals 6 damage to one, the 2/1/1s finish it off, and then he's got 6 damage to the other one.
What if he goes
I'm
Hero
missing
Power
something.
Myra to get the Lackey? No, that doesn't quite do it.
Oh, Barista, you mean?
Sorry, Barista. Yeah.
No mana to do the things. The Wasp is
Well,
slightly
I guess-
better than using the Lackey ones.
I mean, well, it's actually 1 damage off. Oh no, a few points off lethal here. So I guess you can't take the risk. Yeah, you got to trade something off, and then push everything else face.
There is little time.
You can also make an 8-drop though off the boat, which is insane.
That's less insane than you expected.
That's more insane though, with the
Hexlord
taunt in the way.
Well, that's true. The taunt is vital, given that Shaxi quite clearly wins the long game here. Netherlands are just having to use what little resources they've got. Myra Rotspring. Oh, that's no good. I guess Snip Snap is another turn of value sorted, but it's not great, is it?
No. Yeah, none of this is good. Like, you probably have to go for the Rotten Apple Bomb just to not die. Or to hope you don't die, even though we can clearly see probably will just die. Especially as if Shaxi wanted to, he could go for for Barista on the Hexlord Malacras for just infinite value.
So many options. Choose soon.
Netherlands down to 6 health with 4 damage on the board, and the hero power and the Goblin Lackey able to finish the job. That is Netherlands, again, one of the greatest teams when it comes to Hearthstone Global Games pedigree from the tournament in this early stage. As we seem to have lost Derek for a second, but we'll sort that out soon. As Chinese Taipei Kong were able to make their way through the winners bracket and make it through, eliminating the United States in the process. Then on the other side of things, Chinese Taipei, they took down the United States, they took down the Netherlands, and they too will be joining Hong Kong as our 8th qualifier for the next stage of the tournament. This weekend, we have eliminated 8 teams, but we're not going to stop there. Next weekend, 8 more are going to say goodbye. Are you back with me, Derek? You're not back with me. All right, never mind. We also covered Group E earlier on today, finishing that one off. France was able to take down Spain and Sweden to qualify through the winners bracket. And then on the other side of things, the United Kingdom finished Sweden off, eliminating them, and then took down Spain as well. And the United Kingdom ended up joining France in the qualifiers for the next stage of the tournament. So sadly, today we've said goodbye to Spain, we've said goodbye to Sweden, along with the 2 teams, the 2 great teams from Group C. But yeah, what a crazy weekend it has been to start off the Hearthstone Global Games. Is Derek back? No, Derek's not back. All right, I'm just going to finish off the show then. Thank you so much to everyone that's been watching this weekend. We've had a blast. I hope that you have as well. We're going to be back next weekend. Same time, same place.